Hey, how you doing? This is Kitch, and you are watching me play Factorio. Getting ready to place our fourth science module on this line. Let's go ahead and run down here for a bit before we turn on the robots so that we only build what we need. Let's see, we need power. Really looking forward to going and straightening up this power line along the bottom. All right, that should get the bottom. And again, we just need this inner loop done here. Once we have that, the building trains should take over. All right, that should be that. Get those guys over there. We can then just turn this guy into build mode. Throw a couple of stacks of construction robots in there. And it should go ahead and build itself. You guys are on the way. Looks like it. Fantastic. All right, so in between episodes, in betwixt episode, we cleared this area out up here and started laying out this wall. In between episodes, I basically finished completing the wall and did a little driving in here just to take out some biter bases so we wouldn't have this problem anymore. I found probably about 5, maybe even 6 little tiny bases, little expansions that were in here. So I'm wondering if they were expanding faster than the radar could pick them up. Or, I'm not sure what was happening, but anyway, we should be safe in the walls now, unless, of course, we are not. Either way, I think, I'm pretty confident that we should be fine. We got all the walls upgraded to level 3 now, so we have dragon teeth as well as a full line of lasers. And I just let the artillery train just kind of go about its way. He is now doing the rounds and clearing out everything on the inside. Now that we had this level 3 wall, it's not nearly as big of a deal, and I'm pretty confident with him coming up here and taking this on. I think we should be fine. So yeah, that'll slowly get cleared out, and biters will become less and less and less of a problem. It's all just about expansion, and seeing it's now a logistic problem, not necessarily a military one. And speaking of logistic problems, been struggling a bit with fluid. I read your comments after the last video, and I think I mentioned that, you know, fluid dynamics and things like that are something that I just kind of backseated as far as Factorio was concerned. But I read your comments. I did a little bit of research and then spent about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours in creative mode playing with things just to kind of wrap my mind around the fluid mechanics. Long story short, those mechanics are a little bit wonky, but I think I have a better understanding of them now. I completely understand what I was doing. I completely understand what a lot of you are saying now. And that is half the battle. Boy, traffic is a thing here, isn't it? That's probably going to be a problem. But it's not the problem that we have right now. We have other problems. So let's go ahead. We'll roll the intro and spend just a little bit more time playing with fluid stuff. All right, so full confession, this is not the first time I've recorded this segment. It's not the second time I've recorded this segment. It's not even the 5th time that I've recorded this segment. I keep getting bogged down, so I'm going to try to take this a little bit slower and see if I can keep myself out of the weeds. What I do know, I know 3 things for certain. 1, I don't think this is needed. We can go ahead and take that out. Another thing is we are missing a signal right there. And another thing is that this pipe right here is not connected. And let's just go ahead and prettify that up a little bit, something like that. All right, those are the 3 things that I know for sure. Everything else is wide in the open. So I don't want to explain the fluid mechanics system, but due to some of my experiments and some of my research, I've observed some ways that I think we can optimize this, and I've decided that I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm not going to tear this down and rebuild it from scratch. It's just an outpost, right? There'll be many more of these. We can worry about that next time we build an outpost. I just want this thing working a little bit better. The water side currently is working a lot better than the oil side. And basically because all these three end in kind of like a terminal area, and there is a pump right here that is keeping that fluid in there. So let's watch this guy. He's going to come in here, and he's going to fill himself up. He's going to be filled up, and he's going to go. The oil one coming in here, he's going to come in here, and he's going to fill up. And we're going to have a problem. Where's our problem? Our problem is right here. All right, which is where I was expecting it to be. I would expect it to be here too, but it didn't seem to be a problem. So the problem coming in is each one of those cars holds 25K. Each one of these tanks holds 25K. So if you have 25K in each one of these tanks, you would think that the train would fill itself up. But what's happening here is that this one is starting to drain, and this one is starting to drain. And as this one drains, this one is going to pump down into this one to fill that tank back up, or actually both of these tanks back. Actually, both of these tanks and this pipe back up. And it's stealing the oil that is needed to fill up this car, which is why we saw that one empty. So long story short, we don't want to do that anymore. We want to feed these and not let them have an exit, any exit other than the exit that's going out of the train. Just like this guy over here, so the train can move on. There's a couple more things going on as well. Maybe we'll get to those a little bit later, but right now, let's just fix this. All right, so we've got this area coming up here, this area coming down here. Currently, that's being fed, that one is not. Let's take... Let's take that out, and let's move you temporarily into those two tanks. Actually, that's going to drain it out for us. So yeah, you go out there. That empties you out, and hopefully that will empty that one out. All right, I want to break this up. And I want to turn you into two of those guys. I'm going to take that tank out. Did you guys get oil in you? You did. All right, so I want these three tanks fed from this line up here, and these three tanks fed from that line down there. So, let's do that. And that. Pump coming out on each side. Pump going in on each side. Pump going in, pump going out, pump going out, pump going in. You feed over there. You come down. And go into there. This is not an optimal solution, but it's going to be a better solution. And I want a pump going in there. All right, and we just need a billion power poles all over the place. Or two. And this will feed down into there. I want a pump going into there. And just bear with me for a second. I just want to drain that out. I don't want that to be perfect. All right, so that's coming out. That's feeding those two tanks as well as that tank. Now, these two pumps are not going to pump equally. But eventually one of these will fill up, and then that will go into the other side. Is that almost drained out? Do I care about that little amount of oil? I don't think I do. Okay, so which one is our problem? None of them are the problem. Okay, so that's going away. These tanks will fill up. Once those fill up, that's going to fill up that one. That's going to fill up because those two are... Actually, this one is not filled up all the way. But it will eventually. Okay, and then our backup tank's going to fill up once all of those fill up. All right, and those tanks are going to be full, and then when the train comes in, those will empty out, and there's still going to be a little bit of a fight, but it shouldn't be apparent. There's going to be a fight between these two tanks right there as they're filling in stuff. Let's just check this out real quick. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah. It's just our artillery taking on the big glob here. You get some more construction bots up there. Let's see. I think we started out with 100. We're down to 43. Yeah, that's the one hole in the plan. So yeah, with the way the fluid updates occur, these two tanks being next to each other, they're constantly checking each other to see which one's full. And as they drain, they're going to kind of go back and forth. But since we're limited to 50K in here, which is enough to fill up 2 wagons, eventually it'll work itself out and go out. A more optimal design for my experimentation would be to separate these up and have a pump going in, a pump going out, and just a tank, single tank per car. More like this setup right here. But I think with what we're doing now, this will work out fine, and we shouldn't have to worry too much about it. How's things looking here? We probably can't zoom in to that from there. Can we get some more pollution on, please? All right, just down to beacons now. Beacons and modules, I would assume. Very nice. All right, so let's go back. Let's go back to this fluid station, and this one is the one that I'm really not excited about because it's just going to be a big giant mess. Or it is a big giant mess. It's a big giant mess that I created. Gonna be going through some artillery shells. Got the next level of artillery shell range, so our artillery is pretty far reaching right now. The automated stuff is doing a really good job, other than the fact that they single target individual worms, which isn't great. So what can we do about this? First off, what are you waiting on? You're waiting on water. Everything is currently feeding into that tank right there, which I don't believe is going to be optimal. Let's feed you into that tank. And let's feed you into that tank. And realistically, I should not be putting a pipe there, but I think that'll work. So that pump there, this set of tanks will be feeding the top primarily. This set of tanks will be filling that side primarily. This is currently trying to regulate itself, so let's eliminate that. Same thing with you. We'll try to eliminate your regulation. And this really does kind of warrant a redesign. What we're doing here is not optimal. I'm just trying to see if I'm understanding the fluid system correctly, and what I'm doing here is going to have any effect at all. Okay, so let's take a look at oil here. I want to take you out this direction. Pump going out, pump going in, pump going in, pump going out. So that will feed off of that one. Let's take you out directly like that, just because the line is clean. So you will be the primary one feeding on this side. And you, my friend, send you on up. One more. Right there and into there to feed the middle to be kind of like the reserve. Pump out, pump in, pump out, pump in, pump out, pump in, and pump out, pump in. And that's actually not worth it because that's only 2 spots. But that keeps the regulation in here and not regulating with the pumps. That should make things go a little bit better. And then we feed you with a pump as well. Yeah, so the individual units in between pumps are basically going to behave as one unit and try to regulate theirself so that all the fluid is distributed evenly amongst all of the entities in that fluid unit. Pumps seem to break this up a little bit. It's not documented that way, but just in my observation, putting a pump in there with the one-way go back, that breaks up that regulation cycle. So that even though this feeds into that, these pumps aren't trying to regulate themselves with these two tanks right here. So that's the... And secondly, by putting the pump out and the pump in, we're taking these pipes right here and making them their own individual acting units. So they're only regulating with their neighbors, and we don't have this pipe trying to regulate with this tank or this pipe trying to regulate with this tank. It kind of breaks it up a little bit. And then, yeah, feeding this side, we don't want all three going into the same tank because of the way these things are going to want to regulate. We want that spread out a little bit so that they just fill faster. Because if you just fill one of them, this one's going to regulate with this one one's going to regulate with this one. Well, it's going to take 2 steps to get over here to this one. So by feeding it by both sides, it'll help it even out a little bit. And then we get a full blast going in there, full blast going in there, because that tank should be fullish. And I think that'll work out better. It's not correct. It's not perfect. But I think we should see a little bit of an improvement. I'm thinking maybe for the future, what we do to make this work out a little bit better is to expand this out to a, let's see, we're doing 6 to an 8-car train. So that way we have 4 cars feeding 2 instead of 3 cars feeding 2. I don't know. We'll probably just run this for a while and see how it works. But right now, I think you guys are just filling so fast. There's a little problem, too, when you have like a branch like this that I'm not entirely sure on which side gets priority, but it seems like only one of them is ever working at a time. But what I do know is eventually this one will fill up, and as soon as this one fills up, then all of the output is going to go out to this one, so it should make this one fill up a lot faster. You're up, and you're up. All right, let's see what's going on over here. Not much yet. All right, let's do one thing here. I want to try out something that was suggested in the comments, and I thought, oh, what a terrible idea, until I thought about it a little bit more, and then I was like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. So, let's take a look at this. You wait there. And the idea is to take one of these chests per train and turn that into a storage chest. And I thought that this was going to be a terrible idea because we're already using storage chests down here. But then I remembered we currently have logistics filters on storage chests. So I can actually set that over to be a copper ore. And I believe that means that only copper will be stored there. We'll find out sooner or later. So what this does is that will make it where storage chests have a higher priority than the red chests. So all of our robots are going to come and take from the storage chests more evenly than they were from just the single red chests. This one's still backing up a bit. It may just take a little bit of time, but do note that this is unloading. It's not just kind of stuck behind there. So I'm eager to give it a shot, check it out, and see if that... I actually kind of like the fact that the trains are falling behind, that they're not being out there and taking up stuff on the network. But if I'm thinking about this correctly, we should get in the same situation. Let's see. I want that to be a red chest. You filter to coal, and you filter to stone. I don't really foresee an issue where something would end up in a storage chest this late in the game. But I also don't want to take the chance. It's not like if I accidentally, you know, later do like a deconstruction plan, or not accidentally, but intentionally do like a deconstruct command for trees in a wooded area like I did a couple of episodes ago. I don't want those trees ending up in here. But I don't think it should. That's going to pretty much guarantee if we eat through this stuff enough, we're always going to have an open chest here for the train to unload into. Figure we can try it. We're launching rockets now. Let's see, what are we at right now? We are at 577 a minute, which on the hour, which is well, that's pretty much 576 is our target. So we're doing very well. All right. It's not perfect. It's not right, but it's gotten me feeling a lot better about things in general. It's got me feeling that we might be able to stretch that out to make this work for 5 setups, which is the goal. The traffic down here, though, that's going to be another thing. Another thing entirely, as it looks like it's getting a little busy down here. Maybe go... Boy, I don't know if 4 lanes is going to help because it's the crosses. Maybe we do something like we did in the other series where we just basically have one-way tracks so we don't cross. Have to think about that a bit. But traffic is definitely going to be a concern. I wasn't thinking we would have this much problem with traffic at this point, but I don't know. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next episode where, it's just expanding. That's all that is left to do. Thank you very much for watching. And boy, I messed that up, didn't I? What I meant to do, crash. What I meant to do was stop right there. Let's go for try number 2. Thank you for watching. See you next time.